right, let's talk about the Mavericks. They got back-to-back games coming up tonight and tomorrow. I was reading an article in Forbes, and it kind of had some checklist things that you need to be a true contender. And I know we're all feeling really good about the Mavericks right now, but I wanted to run through a couple of these checklists or a couple of these boxes and see if you're like, hey, the Mavericks fit in this category. Number one, top end talent.
Yes.
You have two of the best, players in the league? 15?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could be 10. I mean, we're not going to debate here too much, but yeah, I would say when they're both healthy, they're definitely both in the top 15.
It's really weird, too, because you feel like if you have two of the top 15 that you would just be a more dominant team. But it just goes to show, A, how much more you need other role players to be good.
Absolutely.
Not just random dudes that you're throwing onto a team. And also, I think it's like they are two very uniquely skilled players as well. Kyrie's not the tallest, longest player in the NBA. Although sometimes he does make like layups around the basket that you're like, wow, how did he do that? Even at his size, like he has long arms that gets to the basket there. And Luka's not the fastest, most agile athlete. He's very big and strong, can move you around, but it's two very uniquely skilled players. But yes, top 15 for sure.
Having a top 10 offense. This feels like a no-brainer as well. Offensively, they're the sixth most efficient in the league. And post-trade deadline, which we focused on a lot here, they're the second most efficient offense in the league behind only the Celtics. The one thing that you would still like to see more of, Mike, and you can tell me if you think I'm off base about this, just the numbers bear it out. They don't get to the rim enough. Now, when they get to the rim, they have a phenomenally efficient percentage of 71%, but they're still really low in the league in terms of getting to the rim.
Mic on would help. I guess in a way, I'm not saying you're wrong. You're stating factual stats.
But you think it works the way it is?
Yeah, I feel like the Mavericks are getting a lot of easy buckets, but maybe I'm not seeing the game correctly because you just put out the real stats that they're not.
But on the flip side, maybe their definition of the easy basket is different because they are second in the league in offensive efficiency.
Okay.
So when I would think common sense would say your most efficient game is going to come by continually getting to the rim. Mavericks are one of the bottom 3 or 4 in the league at getting to the rim. Yet offensively, they've been the second most efficient post
the trade. Yeah.
So
that's
it feels
huge.
like
very significant,
working out fine for them.
I'm liking it.
All right, so check
I'm
and
loving
check
it,
if
you will.
So the first two we feel good
Burger
about.
King. I don't know. I'm loving it.
It's McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Because Burger King is at BK. Have it your way.
That's right.
You rule.
Have a top 10 defense.
They're borderline at that.
Okay.
I really think they're above average. And so if 15 is your average, I think they're above average. So I think a lot of people will push back on that, and that's fine. I understand.
There's answers for everyone in this one, actually.
But I think that they're right about 10, and I don't know like who's 1, 2,
They're
and
19 according to defensive rating right now over the season.
I have them at 21st over the season, but
that's according to NBA.com.
Biased. Now, the more important part, though, is because that doesn't surprise anybody. Like, if you saw this team playing in the early season, that doesn't surprise
They're
anybody.
bad.
Since the trade deadline, the Mavericks have the 10th best defense. And in this last 11, 12 game run, they have the 4th best defense in the league, allowing just under 107 points. And so if you want to look at the season, we know all the defensive struggles that they had come up with. But since the trade deadline, 10th best defense overall, which is actually right on the money of what you said. And in their most recent hot stretch, which I know they lost their last game, 4th best defense in the league. So you have seen, and what did we talk about before? If you can get an average Mavericks defense, I think you would have felt a lot better. Now you're looking at an above average Mavericks defense.
A team that was a little bit tired the other night, playing a team that plays at a very fast pace. 104-100. Was that the final score? I'm off the top of my head.
Yes,
there.
that is correct.
But you gave yourself a chance to win when you were very tired, not making a lot of shots. I'll give Golden State credit, but I mean, that was a scheduled loss.
Sure.
And those guys played their butts off to give themselves a chance to win by holding Golden State to 104 at home in Golden State.
And
just to make sure
I'm sorry, Kevin,
clear there.
You had because mine, NBA.com has them 9 since March 1st. I'm just going to throw March 1st at the time.
Yeah, and this one goes back into February, but
that's exceptional.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Sure.
You'll take a top 10 defense paired with your top 10 offense every day of the week.
Man, and if you that feels like the key right there. So top end talent, got it. Top 10 offense, got it. Top 10 defense,
got them.
More of a work in progress than the other two, but having a top 10 offense and defense, that seems like the key right there. When you're like, hey, are you above average at both at the same time?
Maybe this will be kind of shoved in my face as you stupid person for thinking this.
All right.
But I do think that the Mavericks are a title contender right now. Now, that can change. They could maybe go back into the play-in, lose in the play-in, and I'll look really stupid for what I just said. But there's a lot of things watching them, and now you're backing it up with some statistical analysis saying it's there. Will they play this way in the playoffs? Will they have this energy focus? Jason Kidd's going to have to help. And I think he can. I'm optimistic that he can, but you're going to have help in these very close playoff series because I struggle to see anybody taking out the Mavericks now in 5 games. I think that Denver would beat the Mavericks probably in 6. That's the one that I would still pick today that I would say Denver is going to win that series. But all the other series, Minnesota, OKC and LA, I think it's probably going 7 games. I mean, you hope 6 for the Mavs because most likely you'd have to win game 7 on the road, but I do think that those are going 6 or 7 games.
So
you said how many teams did you have in the top that have both top 10?
Oh, I actually don't know that.
At the moment, Boston, OKC, Denver, and New York. And you feel all those teams are title contenders?
Sure. I don't
think New York.
Maybe not New York now, especially because of the injuries.
Yeah.
But before that,
those 3,
I thought they were doing well.
It's interesting because I would assume that Milwaukee's a better defensive rating team, but their defensive rating is very low.
Well, and here's one of the issues that goes along with this, and this was probably the biggest box going in that I was like, I don't think we can do that. How good are you at defensive rebounding? We have lamented about this for most of the year. Here's another
for almost a decade.
That's a good point. Here's another huge change. For the season, before the trade deadline, Mavericks were 22nd in defensive rebounding. Not going to lie, that's better than I would have guessed. Since then, they're 10th. And that's one of the amazing things about the trade deadline. I still remember, because we were on, Radio Row for the Super Bowl, is there was plenty of feedback that was meh, but you got the pieces that fit, because now you tell me at that day, these changes are going to give you the 10th best defense and the 10th best defensive rebounding team in the league. I'd be like, holy crap. You've got something there.
I like what you said, but Corey, don't you think he should start that off by saying, so you're telling me?
Yeah, so you're telling me.
Yeah, because you said.
Yeah, you did it wrong.
You forgot so.
Oh, I did not do it wrong.
And it's more the emphasis on the you're telling me.
So, you're telling me.
You're telling me.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to redo it now?
Yeah, you want to, so people can understand what you're kind of asking?
They'll be more in tune with what you're saying.
Well, they better be.
You do it my way.
So you're telling me.
There it is.
There it is.
That was impressive.
I feel like now my ears perked up.
Oh.
I'm like Bugs Bunny right now.
What am I telling you?
That we have 4 boxes to check for contendership.
And we've done it.
And it looks like the Mavericks check all 4. I'm not saying that guarantees you anything.
Right.
But I think you can look at this and say, this is a real deal contending team.
And you checked half of them because of the trade deadline.
Yes, that's a great point.
Because
a great point.
And you're right. At Radio Row, Mike, I was like, Daniel Gafford has a body type of Anthony Davis. I don't want to say he's Anthony Davis, but he kind of has this length in his shoulders. Like, he kind of has this build. And we were doing everything we could to temper the expectation of this thing. And I think we did a good job of putting people in the right mindset of the expectations, because right now they've exceeded by far. Like what they've added to this, they've exceeded by far. But if we would have been like, guys, we just changed the game, then everybody would be like, meh about this whole thing.
By the way, I do think this is a tough game tonight because of the schedule. I know they're back home, but to go West Coast to Houston to West Coast to back to here and to have back-to-back games, obviously that Golden State game is going to be must win is too far, but you'd really like to win these two because you're better than both these two teams if you are on a similar schedule.
You're a heavy favorite against Atlanta.
Yeah. I just wonder about the travel and the energy, and they put together a lot of energy to have a chance to win in Golden State.